Welcome everybody to another 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe. Joining us today is our code enforcer, William Delong. Thank you for coming out here, William. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor, for having me.
It's going to be a great show today. We've got a lot of good information, a lot of things going on. So we're going to start off talking a little bit about something our Welcoming and Diversity Committee has submitted to us. If you did not know, it is actually Women's History Month, and next Monday, March 8th, is National Women's History Day. So I do have a statement from the committee that I would like to read to everybody as we recognize those that have done so much for us. International Women's Month and March 8th, International Women's Day, have been celebrated for well over a century around the world. We celebrate the social, cultural, and political achievements of women. Beside a colossal number of achievements in many fields women have and continue to make, they are at the forefront of the diverse and inclusive movements everywhere, online, out in the community, big cities and small, for social justice, climate change, inequality in all parts of the world. As we celebrate the astounding and monumental efforts by women of all ages from around the world in shaping a more equal future, the Welcoming and Diversity Committee would like to recognize a few of the many extraordinary women within our community. Throughout the month on the 12 o'clock show, we will put on a spotlight of some exceptional women and recognize them for their noteworthy work. Join us on the show and recognize them every week this month. We are starting today actually with two women who are with us right now. Jessica Rosenthal, who is my assistant, who does a wonderful job with all things in that. And if you want to pan the camera over to her, that'd be great. And we also have Jennifer Clemens, who you met last year, though you might not recognize her because she's not wearing her Halloween costume. But we do want to recognize all the great achievements because I would not be able to do this show and everything else without their contributions, amongst many other things. So we're going to get right down to it. We've got our code enforcer here. We've got a couple of questions that were submitted, but we're going to start with the basic ones, William. The first one is really easy. COVID has been a difficult time for a lot of people. So what have you done, some fun things that you've done to kind of get yourself through it?
Really, Joe, work. I like to work, so that's work and hang out with the family is what's got us through it. So that's good.
Yeah, that's. I hope you do more than just work, but as we kind of go through this, you're going to see that that we've done a lot of different things in code enforcement, and again, we wouldn't be in that position without you and the others in our code enforcement team. That's helping make our city a lot better place.
Thank you.
So, how long have you actually been working for the city?
A little over a year.
A little over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a couple of certifications, don't you?
I do.
Talk about those certifications.
Here recently, we got property maintenance and housing inspector, and also we went ahead and got the zoning inspector as well. So.
Okay. Are those common in your field for code enforcement?
The International Property Maintenance Code for the housing inspector and property maintenance, yes. Mm-hmm. One of the other code officers, Sean Lawson, and I decided we wanted to go one step further and get the zoning certificate so we could actually, through ICC, be internationally certified code enforcement officers. So
you could go anywhere and really start writing up citations then?
I could, but I kind of like it here in Reynoldsburg.
Okay, all right, we'll keep you here. Now, code enforcement is a big thing that, I talked about a lot. Obviously, for those of you that have watched the show, we have a couple of examples that I show every couple of weeks about what's going on. Wintertime, it's a little slower than usual. So tell me, what's the big deal about code enforcement? Why is it important? Why is it a thing?
Well, I mean, I think, Mayor, it's one of those things that you clean up the community. I mean, you have people that will put stuff out at the curbs, or they'll put, disabled vehicles on the street. I mean, not paint, buildings. It's one of those things that's like preventative maintenance for the city.
Okay. I know that it's kind of split up. We have 3 code enforcers, and you're primarily responsible for what parts, like what areas of town or what things in town?
I am over all of commercial. Sean Lawson is over trailer parks, mobile homes, condos, apartments. Jamal is over mostly residential. Sean and I both still have some residential areas that we enforce.
Okay. So if there's a question, the last question, or one of the last questions that I have in here, if there's a question about something that's going on, let's say inside a house or an apartment,
okay,
you can't see it from the outside, but somebody has a concern about maybe something inside from maybe one of our condos or an apartment or something like that. What's the best thing that they can do if they want to get that addressed, if they don't feel like they're being responded to?
Well, they can contact us through the website. They can get on through the city's website, go to the building department, go to search code. All of our information's there. You can email us or call us. If you have something like an infestation issue or something like that, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to, once we get legal rights to enter into the dwelling through the resident, we would be more than happy to help them out in those situations.
It's always good because I think sometimes, we always concentrate on the outside of things, but sometimes if you have concerns about what's going on the inside, it's always good to know that the city is there to help support everybody in that.
Absolutely.
So, All right, what do you like? We'll start with the bad one. What do you like least about code enforcement?
Getting yelled at and cussed at every day.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Not fun.
I mean, we have to do it though.
Yeah. How about what do you like best?
Just seeing the city, get cleaned up. I really enjoy seeing this is where I live and seeing the city get cleaned up. I take pride in that.
Okay, so you live in the community.
I do.
Okay, so that's something yes, it's a job, but it's also part of the pride in the community that you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My kids get kind of frustrated when we drive around, and I know I've mentioned this before, and we go through, say, an area that just recently got paved, their parking lot got paved or something like that. They don't really like it, but I'm like, yeah, we did that. See that? Is that something that you've kind of gotten in? Have you pointed out things to your family if you're driving out and about?
I do. My wife kind of tells me to turn off my brain switch because even though I'm at home and out driving around, we'll go to the grocery store. And I'm like, yeah, I just got that done. She's like, honey, just turn it off, please.
Okay. I'm going to show a couple of pictures of some common things that we see here. The first one is, one that we've all seen, the dumpsters. Lots of trash in the area. And so what we want to make sure is we don't want to do that. So usually when you go in and if you see this, what's the first step? What's the first thing that you do?
I make contact with the property owner, advise them they have to put dumpster enclosures around the dumpsters and also clean up their trash and make sure they're getting their dumpsters serviced on a regular basis.
And then miraculously, you put a dumpster enclosure there and the trash is not going to be there anymore. So that's one of those good things. So if a resident or if somebody in the commercial properties, if they have a question or if they need more time, obviously COVID was going on last year. Not everybody had the funds right away because of some of the shutdown and things like that. Are you willing to work with everybody to kind of give them a timeline so we can still get things done, but understand where the business community is coming
Absolutely.
from?
I mean, as long as we see forward progress, we're more than willing to give extensions. That's absolutely.
So this is another example. One of my favorites is the parking lot over off Livingston and some of the shopping areas. Again, you may not think it's that much, but it is a huge deal to get those things repaved, especially so when you're driving on it, you're not bumping up and down all the way across. Now, when it comes to residential code enforcement, so we have something like this. You're in an area and there's lots of vegetation, some overgrowth, and maybe it leads to limited visibility or something along those lines.
Absolutely.
So when you talk to a resident, how is that different than when you talk to somebody in a commercial property?
It really is no different. We just advise them what the safety issue is and ask them to get in compliance, and most times they do.
Okay. It's always good to do that. This is one, I think this is my last one that I'm going to show today. And again, when we're talking about some of the residents, you see this area right here, and it's not bad, but at the same time, if you're out for a walk, and I know a lot of us did a lot more walking during COVID, you have that. Now all of a sudden you have the visibility, so it's a lot safer for the cars, so that way they can see around corners and things like that. Just a little bit of here, a little bit there, kind of like you said, there's some general upkeep within the community and things like that. So we do appreciate it. I know it's a big thing that I was, that I campaigned on and I talked about and all of that, and you've been an instrumental part of it. Now, we have a couple of questions that have been submitted earlier.
Okay.
So I'm going to start off, and you can give me just a general idea. These are from Doylene Williams, a longtime viewer. Hi, Doylene. How you doing? Don't worry, I'm going to get back to your message. I know you sent me a message. What are the top 5 reported code violations? What do you think?
Property maintenance is a big one, like algae, fencing, rubbish on the property, driveways, downspouts, roofs, you name it. Grass and weeds is a big one.
Okay.
That's definitely one that we encounter a lot. Motor vehicles on the road that are disabled or don't have current tags on. Trash cans, being put out too early. People call and complain about that all the time. Trees over the sidewalks. It has to be trimmed 7 feet over the sidewalks, 14 feet over the streets, and it's something that people walking, as you said, have a little bit more complaints because they're starting to get touched by the bushes and branches and stuff.
Okay. Now you mentioned trash. Is there a certain time? I know I've mentioned it a few times. What's the rule? If you're because today's Wednesday, tomorrow's garbage day.
Correct.
So when should people in Reynoldsburg be able to put out their trash and then make sure that they get their trash back in, assuming that there's not some sort of rumpy delay or something like that?
Okay. Wednesday at noon to Friday at noon. Trash can go out Wednesday at noon, but it must be picked up back up by Friday at noon. If you put out furniture if you put out like a mattress or a sofa, it must be wrapped in plastic. Call Rumpke 24 hours in advance. They won't pick it up if it's not wrapped.
Okay. All right. That's just a good thing. What support do you need from residents so that code enforcement officers can do their job even better? What could you get from residents to help out?
The biggest one I think would be the trash cans, making sure that they're out at a proper time, removed at a proper time. When you have them up at your house, they're either in the garage or next to the house or behind the house. The other one is with rental properties and stuff like that. If somebody has an issue with their rental, give us the landlord's contact information so we can get these situations addressed for them. Those would be the two biggest, I would think.
Okay. Next big question is, what support do you need from residents so that filed complaints can be more quickly resolved?
Mayor, there's a due process that we have to follow that we can't. I understand residents want things done right now. Mm-hmm. Some violations are 0 day. Some of them are 28 days. It's just a matter of what the violation is and how serious of a health hazard it is. That's the process we have to follow. So there's only a time frame that we have to do it.
Okay. What is a commonly considered a code violation by residents, but according to the code is actually not?
This is actually a pretty good one. Toys and bikes in the front yard.
Mm-hmm.
Got daycare, stuff like that. They have a bunch of toys out in the front yard. That's not a violation. Those are toys. The other one is people that take really good care of their lawns. Mm-hmm. Their neighbor may not, and it may not be as aesthetically pleasing to them. So they call and complain that they're not maintaining their property. That's not a code violation.
Okay. So do we get a lot of snitches, neighbors calling and kind of snitching out on their things like that?
Yes, we do.
Okay. But we still follow up with them and make sure, that things are the way that they're supposed to be. Even if they do get a call, even if you think it might not be, it might just be something that maybe they just don't take as good of care of things, but doesn't fall to a code violation.
We still go out and take a look and see if it is a violation.
So has there ever been a time when you don't have to name anything, but has there been a time when a resident, comes in and they say, well, how did you get my name? And, you say, well, this was a call-in complaint, and then that person complains about someone else, and then someone else, and then someone else, kind of like a nice little domino effect?
That happens daily, Mayor.
Okay. Yeah, I figured as
daily.
Much. Snitches, I don't know what to tell you. So we did talk a little bit about the process for reporting a code violation. So basically, you can go through the website, contact you, things of that nature. I know there have been a couple of times where people have actually contacted me on some things. I tend to be pretty active on social media, so if somebody does shoot something, I make sure and get that out.
I've gotten quite a few things from you.
Yep, you have. And then I know we did a little bit of revising of the codes recently. Mm-hmm. So is there anything that we're looking at right now as far as any further things that we're going to kind of tighten up, maybe change, alter? I know what we're talking about, but why don't you share with everybody else some of those things that we're looking at?
A lot of things that we're having now is currently with the businesses and commercial properties is the covering of windows. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that are covering, sometimes 100% of the windows. Mm-hmm. The code is you can only cover 30% of the window, of the total area of the window, and that's something that we're going to start enforcing. So first, safety aspect for law enforcement or civilians walking by, if something's being robbed or held up, you don't want to walk into that establishment. So.
Okay. Did have a question that came in about is if a trailer's in a driveway for a certain amount of days.
Okay.
What is how do we get something? Is that against the code? Is that something that needs, or is this just maybe possibly someone's wife that wants the trailer moved on a more frequent basis? It's a hypothetical question. I'm just curious.
Well, I think I know who this caller was, and if I'm going to say that you are allowed one trailer per property.
Okay.
And, this current situation, this current trailer is not in violation. So
not in violation.
I can't do anything about that.
Okay. I was just checking because there's always very good questions that occasionally do come in. So those are all my scripted questions and listed questions. Do we have any questions from our fans out there?
We do. We have one, and it's we might have to answer it in two different ways. It says, can you keep trash cans, recycle bins in the front yard or in the driveway? So maybe you can talk about where you place them before trash pickup and then after the trash pickup.
Okay. Trash pickup, Wednesday at noon to Friday at noon. You can store them in the garage. Technically, they're not allowed to be in the front facade of the property. They need to be on the side of the property or at the rear of the property or in the garage.
I had another question that came in about snow removal. But doesn't really say what the question is. So maybe they'll reiterate a little bit more about that if we can let them. If you have a specific question, let us know. But that's it for right now.
Okay. Well, obviously, you're welcome to stay. I'd love for you to stick around for a little bit as we kind of talk to the community about some other things. And apparently we did just get some clarification on the question, or just another one?
No, just another one.
Okay.
It says, what is code about picking up dog waste in a yard?
That is not a code violation.
It's just good habits. Come on. There's plastic bags. We don't even get to take the regular bags anymore at the grocery stores. You know, the reusable ones. You got plastic bags. Let's clean up after ourselves, please. Nobody wants to do it, but nobody wants to pick it up from somebody else. But we can do that. I'm sorry. That's just a thing for me. All right. So if you do have questions, we'll continue to answer them. I do want to move into something that came up. Obviously, we're getting to that season where we're going to get some rain, and there's going to be some concerns about flooding. Specifically, one area that came up recently is the area around Briarcliff and Nocturne and White Butterfly, kind of on that other side of where Civic Park is. Obviously, there's some concerns because we have a new townhome community that's going to be built there that is working with the EPA and all of the particular agencies to make sure that the water channel is flowed correctly. So I'm going to show a couple of things about what we're doing to help. So last year, you may remember, I actually went out and did an online live version of everything. So I'm going to try and show you this area right here. This is actually what you're looking at is the FEMA Flood Map. So all in this area right in here, that's the Blacklick Creek, and then here you have White Butterfly, and then you've got Roundelay, Nocturne, all the way throughout. Everything that you see in the blue area by FEMA is considered floodway. That means that you have a potential for flooding. Everything in this area right here, which has got the red and blue stripes, that's actually in the flood zone, which means that flooding is significantly more likely. This is done by the professional engineers through EMH&T and the EPA, and they determine what is and is not in a flood zone. So for those of you that live in that area off White Butterfly, and even some of the houses as you get into Nocturne and Roundelay, almost all the way, so you've got Nocturne right here, even on some parts over into Briarcliff as you move through. Those are areas that are in the flood zone and the floodway, which again is something that has been established by the EPA. So that kind of gives you an idea what potential weather may concern if there are lots of floods. Now, that having said that, last year, because of the issues that happened in that area, we wanted to make sure that we were doing everything that we could to make sure that everything was working on our end. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to do a sanitary sewer inspection. So the city went ahead and did an internal city sewer inspection. I'm going to show you just a couple of things just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. So they would put closed circuit cameras into the sewer systems and try and figure out what the issues were, if there were pipes that were not as accurate as they should be. So what you can kind of see here are a couple of good examples of some of the cracking, some of the breaks, some of the leaks from some of our sanitary system in here that have been causing issues. Now we know this is one of the older neighborhoods in Reynoldsburg, and so these are things that are identified. And all of these areas are going to be looked at and actually worked and improved beginning this year. We have not put it out to bid yet because of the fact that it's not that time of the year. The weather is now just starting to break, so we're going to get to that point. But if I'm doing some adding up for some areas, we've got sewer cleaning and inspection and some other work done. You're looking at a couple $100,000 in that regard. We've got some sewer cleaning and inspection. For Airedale and Carousel, and then Nocturne itself, you're looking at almost really about $750,000. And now we're looking at the actual rehabilitation and repair projects. It looks like, depending on what the bid comes in at, it's going to be well in excess of $1 million. So there's a lot of times where residents have concerns about water bills. Mm-hmm. We all have water, we have those concerns. We've addressed those on the show. One of the things that Reynoldsburg is responsible for is fixing a lot of this stuff. So that's why when you have a water rate increase that comes from Columbus and then Reynoldsburg adds 1% or something more on that, that money is actually used to fund projects like this, to make sure that this infrastructure, the sewer, the stormwater, all of that stuff can get fixed. So that's part of what goes into it. So this is going to be bid, and you're going to see work on this year. I cannot give you into the details of the engineering about how it works. I believe that what they do in some cases is almost they put an epoxy into the pipe that actually hardens it and solidifies it so there's no longer cracks or breaks, and then they remove it through some other way that I have no specific knowledge to. But I am going to plan on going out there to get an idea, especially when some of those things are done. I have this entire portfolio here, so if you're curious about a very specific house in the area, is it in the floodway, is it in the flood zone, you're more than welcome to come in. You can also look at the flood map that I showed you. There is access to that on our city webpage. You can go and take a look at that as well to get an idea of where you're at and what possible things are there. There are a lot of things that you can do in the meantime to protect yourself. Obviously, make sure that you check your sump pump. You want to make sure that there's a backup to it in some cases. There's also that backflow valve that you can attach into it, so if the water does start to come back, it will actually lock and prevent some of that water from getting in through your sump pump. The rest of it is up to people who we don't have any control over how much water gets rained on in Reynoldsburg. That's the authority is not mine on that one. Obviously, there's a lot of conditions environmentally that may be contributing to more rain, more intense rain over a certain period of time. But we are working to try and do what we can within what we have control over to make sure that we kind of mitigate some of those issues. But all of this stuff is here at City Hall. Just give us a call. You can come in. We'll have a room for you that's separate and socially distanced, except Thursdays. That's our court day. But every other day you can come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you can take as long as you want with it. We would email the information to you, but the email is on a flash drive, and it's incredibly full. There's a lot of things in there. There's probably a couple hundred different documents and files, and a lot of it is in engineering that not everybody's going to be able to get. But the other stuff is there that you can see. I also have kind of a picture back here. Some of you might be able to see it. All of those sewers in the inspected areas include everything from Airedale, Carousel, basically everything from Main Street all the way up through Roundelay and White Butterfly. We're all inspected and given a grade, whether these were good sewer systems or poor sewer systems, and those were the ones that were identified that will be worked on this year. So we have a lot of work in that to kind of react to, especially what happened last year with some of the flooding in that particular area. If you have any questions on that for today, please let me know. Obviously, there's a lot of people. I know my friend Alan Atwood out there. I hope you're watching. Feel free and send me something. I'm happy to go ahead and answer any questions on that you can. But that's what we're trying to do, is we want to make sure that we're responsive to you. Want to make sure that everybody understands that Councilwoman Shanette Strickland from Ward 1 is on top of this on a regular basis. Very big driving force to make sure that we get a lot of these things done this year especially. So a big shout out to her and for what she's doing for the residents out there. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move off, unless there are any questions right now.
We did get clarification on the snow one. It says, is it a code violation if snow is not removed from your sidewalk?
It is only if we're only enforcing that if we get blizzard-like conditions, but other than that, we are not enforcing that.
Perfect.
Yeah. Again, kind of one of those things where it's nice to do it. Now, this last snow was a little bit different because there was snow, then there was a big layer of ice, and then more snow on top of it. And I don't want anybody to feel that they got to go clear off their sidewalks, if they're going to, die of a heart attack because that snow is so heavy. But that's a great opportunity. I know a lot of kids in certain neighborhoods were actually saying that they'll come out and they'll shovel everything. So that's something great opportunity. I know a lot of people did when they were growing up. Moving on a little bit, we have a couple of things coming up. Parks and Recreation is gearing up for our spring sports season. We've got softball, we've got baseball, we've got soccer. All of those things are up, and I know most of them are actually pretty full. I think there's still a few places maybe where there's some open for certain leagues, but I think we have our coaches. I think last night they actually did some of the evaluations, so I know that's getting here. Big baseball fan myself, can't wait to go out there and see some of those games. It's going to be a lot of fun, even if my kids retired from baseball a long time ago. I did also want to mention that the Reynoldsburg City School middle school girls softball team is still looking for people. If you are interested, please go ahead. It's on Facebook, or you can call the school district if you're interested in playing for them. I know that they want to get a team together. It's something that they're very proud of, and it's a great sport. Again, great club, the Lady Diamond Rated Club that's out there. They do a lot of good work. They're going to be working on, I know they're working on a new field and things like that. So please, if you're interested in the Reynoldsburg Raiders softball program, please go ahead and find some information out there on social media and see if your daughters want to go ahead and play that. Again, it's always a lot of fun. Also wanted to mention breaking news, only within the last hour and a half. The Reynoldsburg Raider football team is going to be doing a cash drop on March 21st from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Livingston campus. We all know that one of the big fundraisers that all the sports teams do is they do their cash drops, but in this age of COVID, becomes something a little bit different. So what they've done is they've kind of thought out of the box, and they said that what we're going to do is we're going to take it to the Livingston campus and kind of do a drive-through, so that way we can put the traffic through, things like that. So if you're interested in supporting the Reynoldsburg Raider football team as they get ready to go ahead and start their full season next year, please go ahead and take a mention of that. Again, that's on the 21st of March from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Livingston campus. Also, big congratulations to Jack Bertel and the Reynoldsburg Raider girls. They came up a little bit short last night, but a great season overall, so we do thank them for their efforts. Just can't wait till next year when we can actually go to some of these games in live like that. I would never want to take the spot of some of the family members But watching it online is just not the same thing. So again, congratulations to them. Some good events that were going on. We had our Tomato Festival committee meeting last night. If you are interested in helping and volunteering with the Tomato Committee, please feel free and reach out to us. We have them on the first Tuesday of every month. It starts at 7 p.m. And I think yesterday's lasted about 35 minutes or so?
Yep.
Went over a couple of good topics about kind of scheduling. We've kind of refined our tomato wars a little bit, talked about the car show, some of the pageant work. We've also got some pretty good sports activities going on. We're going to have, for the first time, a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. It's at various age groups. We're partnering with the YMCA for that. We're also going to have a 5K that will be done, so you'll be able to run there. It's going to be the tomato run, but no, we are not throwing tomatoes at you, though it was discussed. I'll be honest with you, it was discussed. But we've got a lot of fun things going on for that. We cannot wait for the Tomato Festival. We're going to have a big thing. Right now, for those of you that are interested, we're looking at what we can do for some of our local acts. How do we keep some things local? We know the big acts that are coming in Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now we're looking to some of the local opening acts. We're also going to have a big secondary stage, and we're going to make sure that that stage has something going on all the time, whether it's dance, whether it's something musical. We joked last night that it could be like an open mic night for some people to come out there and have some fun. Maybe get some of our dance teams out there and come out and do a performance, things like that. So we're going to have some really good fun stuff with that one. You're going to be back with me next week, sucker. March 11th at 7 p.m. for a virtual town hall, and we're going to go a little bit more in depth than what we did today, but it's going to be very similar to this idea, just to give a chance for maybe some of the residents to ask questions. I know one that always comes up is, my grass was not this high or something like that. So we did talk about that this year to kind of make some exceptions, especially for those times when it rains and then the grass grows and things of that nature, and work a little bit more in that regard, but still, making sure. Let's put it this way: if you need a machete to get through your front yard, it's time to cut the grass. You want to make sure you do that. We do have our blessing box locations now that the weather is broken. The need is not gone. I just want to make sure that you know that we have a number of blessing boxes all the way around Reynoldsburg, including right in front of City Hall. They are stocked regularly and they are used regularly. People do need a little help now and then. Sometimes the food pantries help. We have great with Helping Hands and Heart Food Pantry. But these blessing boxes are a great idea. If you want to follow along and help donate, again, it's non-perishable items, and there is a Facebook page for it, as there's a Facebook page for everything. We do have a little bit of development news. You might have seen the newspaper article or on Facebook on our government page. Buns and Brews is going to be coming to Reynoldsburg. It's a gourmet hot dog restaurant. It'll be in the new Kroger area. It's going to be one of the parcels out there. We don't know exactly when yet. They have not submitted anything official, but we hope to have that in the next month or so. We know that that's not going to be the only thing going there, but that's the only thing that's been announced so far. So once we get that some actual restaurants in and things like that, we're going to be able to do that. And hopefully those will be set to open towards the end of this year. Our next Fireside Chat is going to be 1 week from today on March 10th, and we will be welcoming the Reynoldsburg Historical Society President, Mary Turner Stutes. Mary is going to be a wealth of knowledge for the history and the love of the city of Reynoldsburg, and we can't wait to have her on to talk about kind of where we've been and some of the cool things that Reynoldsburg is known for, not just the tomato, but some other stuff. It's a great opportunity. I know it's been hard this year because not everybody's had a chance to go in to the Historical Society, but it'll be great to have her on the show, and we're very much looking forward to that. Any questions that have come in the last couple of minutes?
Yeah, well, somebody's asking if you can explain a little bit about the Operation Shamrock that Parks and Rec is doing.
Operation Shamrock, yes. Well, we're going to have shamrocks scattered about all the way throughout Reynoldsburg, and you're going to have to be on the hunt for them. And I believe they've got QR codes on it, if I'm not mistaken, so you can scan them to kind of check in. It's kind of like geocaching, but just, with a shamrock, give a little Irish spirit to everything. I'm not going to change my name to McBagany, but that was attempted. I don't know, McBagany or O'Bagany. I don't know what would be best for some Irish cultural right there, but definitely something fun for the Parks and Rec Department to work on. We've got great community involvement with this one, so it'll be a good thing to get people out, especially as the snow is gone and the weather's getting a little bit nicer, get people out into our parks and into the community to see those things.
That's it for
That's
now.
it? All right. Again, closing remarks. I feel like I'm going to have to clean up, your pet's mess on everything. But, again, stay safe, stay respectful. Make sure you enjoy the outdoors. It's supposed to be a beautiful day today. The sun is out. Go and enjoy it. And make sure, as always, to put your shopping carts away because really it's not that hard. Everybody else have a great day. And again, William, thank you so much for coming
you.
today. We do appreciate not only being here, but everything that you do to help make the community what we know it can be.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you soon.